This is our first visit to Warrnambool, but it's been on my mind since I first wrote on our T-Bear Travels blog about a Portuguese ship that some believe sailed down the east coast of Australia well before Cook. The ship is thought to have been wrecked somewhere near Warrnambool in the 1500s. The wrecked ship was of carvel design and was under the command of Mendonça, a Portuguese explorer, and if it can be proven it was Mendonça's, history books will have to be rewritten. There is very little information available relating to Mendonça. Not even Wikipedia has a portrait of the man. There is a mass of information on the web relating to the controversy as to who was the first to sail the east coast of Australia. There are around 630 shipwrecks along the Victorian coast, so maybe the mahogany ship is one of them. On this cycling journey, Bev and I will not be looking for the mahogany ship, but I thought it worthy of mention seeing we are in the region. Leaving the station, we cycled into the city centre, and along the way Bev spotted an op shop where she thought we might find an A-Bear replacement. I mentioned in film 4 that we had lost A-Bear in Torquay. All op shops have bears for sale, but not beanie bears, the type which we are looking for. The Warrnambool op shop had no suitable bears. We will have to keep looking. When scrounging for a bear, I keep a lookout for an original beanie bear. Beanie bears were part of a range of beanie babies popular in the 1970s. An original beanie bear can fetch up to $5,000. After the op shop, we rode on through the town gardens to a caravan park where we camped the night. The caravan park was, as most are in coastal regions, expensive. The owners don't have a price for bike-packing tents, only for cars towing caravans. Fortunately, there was no ban on the charging of e-bikes, but there was one curious ban, and that was there was no taking of photographs in the toilet. I thought to myself, who'd want to? I asked a young lad coming out of the toilet what the sign was for, and he told me that young people take photographs of their friends under or over the door of the toilet cubicle and post the photographs on social media. Where have I been living? I was oblivious to the fact that this sort of thing happened. On the road early, and as often is the case, finding the start of the trail was a problem. Sometimes even Google doesn't know where it starts. We have spent many hours searching for ways out of towns and cities over the years. If I get desperate, we revert to the old way of asking a local. Excuse me, mate, is this the rail trail to Port Fairy?
Yeah.
Just keep following this.
Just keep following this, yep.
Okay, thank you. The trail at the start today went through a vast wetland, and being able to ride along a traffic-free route was more than a pleasure. We enjoyed every part of the ride. There was plenty to entertain us as we rode. There was the wildlife, views, and the sculptures along the edge of the trail. I'm unsure why the rail trail developers established sculptures at the edges of trails. It must have something to do with making sure riders don't get bored. Around lunchtime we found ourselves at Koroit railway station, and there I chatted with some of the rail trail volunteers, and they explained how they maintain the trail and use it for early morning rides. From the station we headed into town and we made a beeline for the bakery. Bakeries are the best places to eat. The food has a no-fuss flavour. Whilst having lunch, a local came past and read the sign on the rear of my bike, and he invited us to stay the night. John, the local, was, as warm shower hosts are, very friendly and accommodating. He suggested we go to his house and go in and make ourselves comfortable. John was walking his daughter's dogs, and he said, "I will be there soon." It was a delight to stay with John. He told us he rode on a bi-weekly basis with a group along the rail trail.
Where are you guys from?
Hamworth in New South Wales.
Oh, way up there.
Yeah, we're a long way away.
You are?
But we shipped our bikes to Melbourne.
Right.
And then we rode down the Mornington Peninsula.
Oh, beautiful.
Across the ferry to Queensland, the Great Ocean Road.
Oh, okay.
And then back
ride.
up into the volcanic country near Koroit, and then down to here.
All right, we'll come in and I'll make you herbal tea.
This morning John made us breakfast, and then he offered to take us by car to Tower Hill Lake. The lake is a giant nested maar. I mentioned maars in a previous film, but I'll expand on their development a little more now. Maars are formed by lava forcing its way to the surface and striking a body of water. The lava cools and forms a depression, the depression filled with water. I have to say, that's a simplistic explanation. I'm sure it's much more complicated than that. I've prepared a sketch showing how maar-type lakes are formed. In the sketch, a feeder dike can be seen rising to the surface from the magma chamber, and when it hits a body of water, probably an existing lake or large underground aquifer, a massive explosion occurs and volcanic ash is thrown skywards as indicated by the arrows. The lake at Tower Hill is one of the largest maars in the world, and it ranks high in geological significance worldwide. The lake is surrounded by a lip. The lip is the maar, and one's first impression is that it's an alluvial origin. This is not the case. Each layer represents a single volcanic eruption. Many famous people have been drawn to Tower Hill in days gone by. An Austrian painter, Eugen von Gard, came and did a painting from Tower Hill. The painting is in the Warrnambool Art Gallery. Another curiosity in Koroit, although not a natural wonder, was the pub. It was built around 1900 and it is considered to be a fine example of the Art Nouveau style of architecture. The Art Nouveau period flourished throughout Europe and United States and Australia around the turn of the century. Art Nouveau is a French term meaning new art. The Eiffel Tower in Paris is considered to be an Art Nouveau creation. I wrote extensively about the two styles in our blog tbeartravels.com, and if you follow the Prague Czech Republic Part 1 line, you can read more about it. The pub has a very Irish flavour. At one time the region was known as Belfast, as many of the original settlers to the region were from Ireland. Inside the pub there is a bike, and it depicts a potato picker's setup. On the front door of the pub there is a sign indicating potato and Guinness. To the Irish, the potato is more than just food, it's a symbol of prosperity and hardship. After breakfast, Bev and I returned to the station and recommenced our ride to Port Fairy. The ride was basically downhill, dropping from around 50 metres at Koroit to sea level at Port Fairy over a distance of about 20 kilometres. The route passed through open farmlands, woodlands and country that was once swamplands. A lot of old blokes riding bikes, isn't there?
They've been coasting down the road.
Yeah, I know.
20 kilometres.
By morning tea time we were in Port Fairy, and of course Bev was craving her early morning coffee. We chose the Pelican coffee shop. According to Bev, the coffee was great, but what I appreciated was the coffee shop logo, a pelican painted on the wall. After morning tea we made our way to Battery Hill. The hill is where 19th century cannons were installed to fight off potential invading Russians. Australian authorities were paranoid about Russian invasion at the time, and gun emplacements were installed along the eastern shores of Australia. We visited several of these emplacements in past films, so this one was nothing new, but I found out later that these guns, when they were being tidied up, restorers found cannonballs in their breeches. The stuck balls were no ordinary lumps of solid steel, but hollow ones primed and ready for use. After expert bomb disposal people examined them, they were deemed safe as they had no fuses. At day's end we started looking for digs, and by chance we came across a YHA. On the sign there was a note, "Back in 5 minutes." We hung around and the owner soon appeared, and she was only too pleased to take our money for a couple of nights. The cost to stay in a YHA these days can cause financial alarm. They are not as cheap as they used to be.
Okay, yeah. Good Friday, okay.
Bev suggested we should treat ourselves if we have not spent all that much on accommodation lately. Regardless, hostels are great places to stay, much better than an isolated hotel come motel room, especially if you are at all social.
So I'm doing like the East
There
Coast
are like-minded people to
that
talk
started
with.
in Melbourne, but I've been here for 4 months, so I've been here longer than these guys. So I've been mostly in Sydney. But
In former days there were no double rooms such as the one we have. In days gone by there were separate male and female dormitories, and also there was a curfew. And you were expected to do cleaning as part of your payment before leaving. At the Port Fairy YHA today, all you are asked to do is strip your bed of the used sheets and place them in the box provided. However, for old time's sake, I cleaned the toilet. Years ago, managers, or wardens as they were called, were dictators. Bev and I stayed in a YHA in Germany in the 1970s, and the warden there blew a trumpet to get people out of bed in the morning. Times have changed. There are mixed dorms these days, and there is no curfew. As can be seen in these images, the YHA at Port Fairy is very homelike. The owner and her partner have turned their hand to collecting antiques. Every room has a classic old piece, and might I add, for the use of those staying there. The pieces are not just for looks. I'm sure some of the furniture pieces would be much sought after on the open market. For me, unfortunately, understanding the antiques market is alien to me. Maybe this old codger should start educating himself. The drawing room of the hostel was where I think the most valuable pieces were. There was a fine example of a settee. Settees usually have two arms and a carved wooden back. First thing today, of course, was breakfast, which you made yourself in the communal kitchen. Then we rode to Griffiths Island to the north of the River Moyen outlet. When whaling was in full swing, there was a whaling station on the island, but today there are no permanent residents or buildings of any kind. The island is connected to the mainland by a causeway, and it was most comfortable riding. One attraction on the island is the lighthouse. It was built in 1859 as a navigational aid at the time when Port Fairy was becoming an important trading post for Western Victoria. The lighthouse was built by Scottish stonemasons and made from local bluestone, which in Victoria is a type of basalt. This image has nothing to do with the Griffith Island lighthouse, but I included it because it's an impressive photograph and it shows the power of the sea. It also shows the incredible strength of the structure. Another feature of the island is the fact that shearwaters, also known as mutton birds, breed there. In the past, between 15,000 and 20,000 birds arrive from the Northern Hemisphere on a regular basis. Normally the birds arrive in the last week of September, but over the past few years they've been arriving late. This is a worrying trend, and when they do arrive, they are in an emaciated state, crash land and kill themselves. One of the reasons for the birds' poor condition is that many have small plastic particles in their guts. For those who have experienced the shearwater with a gut full of plastic, they say you can hear the crunching of the shards moving against each other. Because we are now retracing our steps, we had no trouble finding the start of the trail back to Warrnambool. Our first stop was Moyen River. There was no water flowing as the country, as I have mentioned before, is in drought. In fact, the whole of southern Victoria has experienced the driest times ever. The countryside near the Moyen River crossing was extremely dry, and the black soil plains near the river crossing was, to use a cliche, dry as a chip. The area was once a swamp. Near what I assume was a railway siding, I spotted on the trail some koala scats. The best way to spot a koala is to keep your eyes looking downwards, and if you see scats, look up. When riding a bike, it's almost impossible to look up, but you can look down. Bev and I were looking up, and after spotting the scats on the ground, and soon other cyclists joined us, and they were soon looking up too. It's interesting to note koalas are not bears, they are marsupials. Their name comes from an Aboriginal word meaning no water, however they do drink water in Western New South Wales. Koalas have fingerprints similar to humans. They live for around 10 years, and in early days people used to go out on koala shoots to get their skins. Today their habitat is slowly being destroyed. The destruction is relative to making way for housing estates. A remarkable animal under threat. I'm surprised they've survived for so long. The trail where it crosses main roads is clearly marked. And sometimes it goes under the road. Where it runs parallel to a busy road, there is a fence between you and the passing cars. There is one feature along the way, and that's where the trail passes through Kelly's Swamp, a large wetland supporting many water birds and animals. I reckon there'd be a few black snakes slithering around in the swamp. There was a sign on the edge of the trail where you enter the swamp indicating if this sign is underwater, the rail trail is impassable. The question I ask is, how would you read the sign if it was underwater? By the look of how low lying the trail ahead was, there would certainly be a lot of water in the swamp during flood time. Arriving in Warrnambool, it was food and coffee time. We were told we should go to the food, bikes and coffee shop. It was a purpose-built cafe come bike shop, and because of their renewed interest in bikes and riding lately, it has prospered. I was on the lookout for a retractable bike tow rope and have been since last being in Europe riding. In Europe in 2019 I had occasion to give Bev a tow. We had a near-miss lightning strike and damage was done to her battery. Towing with a piece of rope can be a bit dangerous if the person being towed drops the end of their rope. The dropped end could easily become tangled in the tow bike rear wheel. The super bike shop today didn't have one. It's a bit like finding a new bear mascot. I'll have to keep looking. Around the bike shop there were a number of bike flavoured touches, such as the seats on which one perched to drink the coffee. After food and coffee we went to the railway station and took a train to Geelong. The reason for going to Geelong on this trip is I wanted to see Koroit Villa. Koroit Villa is the first prefabricated house to be assembled in Australia, and for me it was a must-see. However, Koroit Villa will have to wait until the next film, as time has caught up with me once again. That's it, folks. See you in the next film, number 7, when we'll visit Geelong and Ballarat.